about playoff seeding. That stuff matters. The Ravens are not putting themselves in a good position to set themselves up for the playoffs right now by blowing these leads. And if they can't find answers between now and the postseason, they're not likely to last.
Look, a quarterback is having an MVP caliber year in Lamar Jackson. And yet, I want to go back to the decision that John Harbaugh made the other day. By now, you've probably seen it, but on 4th and goal from the 2 in the fourth quarter of a tie game, he chose to go for it rather than kick the field goal and let his defense try and preserve a 3-point lead. The worst of all possible scenarios is what took place, because not only didn't they score, but it was an interception that turned into a touchback, so the Bills weren't even trapped deep in their own territory. But what surprised me yesterday, and I particularly want to hear from Dominique and Marcus on this, the defensive guys on our show, both Ryan Clark and Rex Ryan, were mad at John Harbaugh on behalf of the defensive players on that team. They were basically saying what Harbaugh showed is he doesn't have faith in the defense. He doesn't have confidence in them to get it done. Marcus, what do you think of that? The idea that the defensive players on the Ravens are going to be offended by the decision the coach made?
I vehemently disagree. Okay?
Ooh, thank you.
If Lamar Jackson is my quarterback, I am going to go for it on 4th down to try to put Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills away. I have no problem with what John Harbaugh did. And yeah, look, man, we got a lot of pride as defensive players. But we know damn well if you give Josh Allen the ball too many times, eventually he gonna get you. And that's what happened. So the Ravens was going for at least a tie if Josh Allen was gonna walk the ball down the field. I think you do this because you saw your defense give up some deep balls. You saw your defense give up some big plays. So you try to defend against that by saying at least if they go down and score a touchdown, we can get this thing into overtime. And guess what happens in overtime? I still got Lamar Jackson.
This, it's something that you say. I don't know because the tough thing about saying that is you still had a chance, defense, to stop them.
Thank you.
You can't give up a 80-yard drive. And I know no one on the Ravens is saying this, and I know it was Rex and RC saying it on their behalf, but it's easy to say it. In that moment, it's real hard to say it after you give up a game-winning drive.
You seem very skeptical.
Oh, bro, this is a ridiculous comment. But I don't care. First of all, you got smoked in Miami when you had a big lead. You've embarrassed yourselves there. You have the MVP of the league into week 4, however you want to look at it, 2 yards away from the end zone to go up in filthy weather from an offense that's been moving the ball on you. You absolutely go for it. You would ask the coach, why didn't you go? That was a dumb move not to go for it with Lamar Jackson 2 yards away from pay dirt. Absolutely could not disagree more. And then, oh, by the way, not only was John Harbaugh, did they mess up on offense, this defense that was supposed to shut you down gave up 80 yards, and basically they laid down at the 2-yard line so they didn't punch in a touchdown to kick an easy field goal. Give me a freaking break. The defense is not who you depend on in Baltimore. You depend on Lamar Jackson, who is your best player on your football.
And I mean, in the defense of the defense, they did have him stopped, and there was a really terrible roughing the passer call to keep that drive going. But I mean, in general, I like the idea. Yeah, I mean, I just try to give them context. I just like the idea of playing aggressively in that moment and trying to take the 2 yards or 3 yards to get a touchdown to end the game.
And Harbaugh's done this before. I mean, there were times last year where he's going for it on 4th and short at the goal line late in the game. Because he didn't think his offense was going to be able to score if they got the ball back. So there's some consistency here, too.
Go ahead, Marcus.
I think we also got a point. Like fellas, this offense got stagnant. Like, that's a part of the Ravens' problems as well. Like, we looked at the Miami game. They didn't continue that trend. The first half, they did a lot of that work early in that game. And then against the Bills, man, you got opportunities to go down and make things happen. You got to go do it. This league is unforgiving, especially when you're playing against the type of quarterbacks you're going to face over there in the AFC. Ain't no lead safe.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because the AFC North, which we thought was going to be so great, the Steelers are giving up on their quarterback, the Browns are losing terrible games, and the Bengals have gotten off to a bad start. Are the Ravens, is that defense going to be their Achilles heel? Can they be a Super Bowl team this year with that defense?
Not unless they get better on the defensive side. Listen, you can score all the points you want. You can't protect the 21-point lead, you ain't winning the Super Bowl. Bottom line, defense has got to get better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the defense does have to get better, but they also need to get better offensively. In that second half, they couldn't score any points. And once you realize, which there's no answer for the defense at this point. There's not going to scheme their way out of this. But the offense does have the talent to completely dominate people. So they need to, in certain situations like the Cowboys, their defense is taking pressure off the offense. But right now, we need the offense to take the pressure off the defense in Baltimore.
Okay, but here's the deal. The defense did give them short field for their first points.
Yeah.
So, like, this is a complementary type football team. This isn't one where the Baltimore Ravens are going to score 50 points a game. But the style of play should help their defense because they're eating up clock, they're staying on the field, and then they score touchdowns. It can't be a field goal kicking football team. Yeah. It's got to be the other way.
Really quick thought, Marcus, go.
Just one thing. Offensively, Ravens, when you get down and you're going for a game winner, don't just drop Lamar Jackson straight back.
Bro.
Just going for it.
Oh. Before anybody gets too excited, he was not visiting the Giants in any kind of official way where they're considering signing him. He went to see some friends, checking in on Sterling Shepard, who's injured, saying hi to Saquon Barkley, who's fantastic. But no, he was there. He was across the river in New Jersey. So make of that what you will, Greeny.
I'm going to make of it that someone is going to sign Odell Beckham Jr. at some point here. And as we saw last year when he arrived in Los Angeles, everything immediately changed and they won a Super Bowl. So let's live in a world where he is going to be healthy enough this year at some point to be a difference maker. I asked everyone here, tell me what team he should want to go to. If Odell's primary goal is to do what he did last year, and that is win a championship someplace, where should he want to go? Marcus Spears, why Kansas City?
Because they need a closer at the wide receiver spot, G. I like this team, obviously, and we know how great Patrick Mahomes is. But when you get in high leverage games and where we know Kansas City is headed, you're going to have a guy where it's just about the man as opposed to some concept or something that Andy Reid can dial up. And I think OBJ in this offense obviously will open up things for Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster, and he'll add and increase this run game because you have to determine coverage when he's playing wide receiver. So I think this is his best chance to potentially win another ring. But I also think within this offense, he can come in right away and increase an offense where we just saw put up 41 points against the Bucks.
Neek, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to be a difference maker on the team. If he goes to Kansas City, it'll be nice to have him there. And he's right, there's a hole in receivers. But the Cowboys are a team that surprised the hell out of me and are a legitimate threat in the NFC and could use another weapon on outside. And also, I really like this job. And it's really easy when the Cowboys are exciting and interesting. So, Odell, don't only think about yourself. Think about me and Greeny. Give us something to talk about. More Cowboys talk, please.
That's right. No state taxes. Jeff, and you think he should go right back where he was in L.A.?
Absolutely. You made my point for me, right? You got a Kupp who's averaging 100 yards a game. You got 69 averaged by all the other wideouts combined. So you don't think Sean McVay can create something to get him the ball? Rest assured, he will get targeted. He will be the difference maker in Los Angeles. And again, he's the type of guy who not only brings on the field presence, but off the field presence. And they need that something severe in LA.
Graziano, what am I missing here? Hold on one second. Let me get my glasses on and make sure I'm reading the screen correctly. I don't see the Green Bay Packers logo anywhere. Yeah. Why is that not there, Graziano?
I picked the Chiefs for a lot of the same reasons Marcus did. The Packers make some sense, and he did look at them last year when he ended up going to the Rams. Look, a couple things. We don't know when he's going to be healthy. We don't know how healthy he's going to be, if he's going to be a difference maker. The most likely situation is the Rams. They've stayed in touch, and I think there's mutual interest on both sides. But we're playing a game here, right? Where would he want to go? If you were him, where would you want to go? Play with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and be the number one. I mean, he could, if he's healthy, he could step in and be the number one receiver. Swagoo said there comes a point in the game, right, where it's about players, not plays. And the Chiefs right now have Travis Kelce that fits that description, and really nobody else. So he could be that guy for them. Again, in theory.
But what you're just saying, I could just substitute Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, 100%.
And every word of it, and I think be just as right. And stay in the NFC where you have a lot more chances, which brings us.
Don't know Aaron Rodgers might leave next year.
But Odell's not looking for a place to go long term. Yeah. Odell's looking for a place to go and try and win this year. Let's go to Green Bay because your buddy Orlovsky had some stuff to say.